Hello there, Maverick Currency traders. Happy Tuesday. This is Rob Reinhold. Let's jump into what happened today. In this session, we're going to talk about the news of the day. We're going to go through basically everything that happened. And then we're going to look for some potential setups. I got to break it to you. I don't see anything great right now, but I'm waiting for a few things to develop.
All trades and analysis in this video are intended for professional traders only. This content does not constitute financial advice and is for educational purposes. This video is being released after a short delay due to Compliance Department review. Maverick members receive this content immediately as part of their daily trading resources. If you're ready to level up, consider joining Maverick Currencies. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits. You bring the skill, we provide the backing. Let's get into today's market recap and see how the pros are trading the currency markets.
All right, let's take a look first at the news of the day. We really only had one economic report. That was Canadian CPI, and that came in as expected. Plus 0.3 on the monthly, 3.1 year over year. As you could tell, those numbers, 3.1 year over year, it's a little on the higher end of the range of the 2 to 3%. The question is, what is the Bank of Canada going to do? Well, guess what? The Canadian dollar went down on this news, so nobody's thinking that the Bank of Canada is going to be raising rates anytime soon. We did get a kind of a weird sell-off in the market today. If you take a look at the S&P 500, it was down about 0.2%. The NASDAQ was down about 1.5%. And if you take a look at like the big Mag 7 stocks, the Microsofts, the Googles, the Teslas, they got really hit hard. And the cryptos joined them in that. What that means is that right now, crypto is considered a risk-on investment. So when the hottest things fall and crypto falls with it, it's telling you that there's a correlation there right now. That if we continue to see more selling in these Mag 7 stocks and all the big speculative names, the crypto is probably going to keep going down with it. So that's one thing to realize that right now we have a pretty good correlation between NASDAQ type stocks and the crypto sector. Let's take a look at the performance today. As you can see, not a big move here. I always like to look and see if there's a 1% move in the market to tell me if there was a good volatile move, and you can see not really. But this really was a classic risk-off move. The growth currencies the weakest, the safety currencies the strongest. This is a risk-off move, but it just wasn't very strong. The best pairing was Aussie yen to the short side for 0.8%. That was the biggest move on the day. We're going to take a look and see, is this risk-off move going to continue, or is it going to get bought? And then we'll probably look and see for something else in this chart. You can see the crypto basket fell 2.8%. Gold down, oil down, everything down across the board. Ethereum down more than the rest, but it also was up more than the rest. Really nothing to be surprised about here. Let's take a look at the economic news coming up over the next 24 hours. Take a look at the S&P chart. And look, this is nothing but a pullback. But I want you to also just take a look at this RSP chart. The RSP chart, this chart looks like it's high basing. This chart looks fine. There's nothing telling you to be worried about this market. If we come to the S&P, all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe there's a little worry. If you take a look at the NASDAQ, maybe there's more worry. But the regular market is holding in just fine. It's just fine. So I do think that this is going to be a risk-off move short term. And then we will get that buying. But I've been talking about this now for about 2 weeks. The worst 6-week period in the stock market is September 1st through October 15th. And there's been more 10% crashes in that period than any other 6-week period. So if things continue to deteriorate on the equity side, we could be getting a larger risk-off move. If that happens, I'm very, very happy to be long yen, long Swiss franc. I think it's going to be a great run if that happens. If it doesn't, well, then we're going to have to look at some risk-on things, which is mostly going to be the crypto. We do have a central bank announcement coming out in the next 5 or 6 hours. If you are trading the Kiwi, be aware. I have a rule. I do not trade Kiwi during the RBNZ statement and announcement, so I won't be looking for this, but expectations are for a 1/4 point cut. Overnight, we get CPI out of the UK. Remember, they've had hotter than expected numbers, and we might actually get a hot number here. If it does, I actually do like the pound on the upside. So really, I'm looking at pound for the most part, and probably stuff like yen while we have this weakness. Once we get a bounce, then I think it's back into cryptos. Let's take a look at some charts. I'm just going to run down all of our currency baskets real quick. So here is yen. Yen is trending a little bit higher, got some resistance. As you can see here, it looks like it wants to go up, but it's not going up very quickly. We come over here to dollar. Dollar actually looks a little bit better. And you can see that we've now put in a higher high than this last high. So dollar is definitely possibly in play. But Swiss franc looks much, much better. Swiss franc clearly looks like the best currency on the long side here. Take a look at euro, not really. Pound, flat. But let's talk about this. I love this pattern, high base. We got this high base pattern here. We get a hotter than expected CPI. I really like pound to the upside. What do I like it against? Well, let's take a look at CAD. CAD has been weak, but it has been basing here lately. If we can get a breakdown of that one, I like CAD to the short side. Aussie looks really weak. It's just weak right now. We just had a big fall, so I want to get a little rally or base on this. And then the Kiwi looks like it is trying to work its way out of the bottom of this base that it's been forming, but we have the RBNZ. And if we take a look at the cryptos, they're all just falling at the moment. There is nothing in the charts are saying that they are bottoming right now. There's just nothing here. If you take a look at all the daily charts, they are approaching some support levels, but like Ethereum just kind of punched through its support level at 4,200. So is the next stop 3,900? Basically, they're all falling. They're all falling pretty hard with no bounces in them. It's just telling me don't try to catch a falling knife. Just wait for it to hit the floor, and then you can pick it back up when it's much safer. So here is the velocity scoreboard right now, and it actually looks pretty good. We don't have a lot in the 0 to -1 or the +1 to -1 area, which we like. But this is like a weak +2. This is a weak +2, and these are kind of weak -2s and -3s. So really, if you're looking to trade anything here, what looked the best was the Swiss franc, followed by the dollar. But I don't love dollar here. I'd rather wait for that UK CPI and look to trade the pound. So I'm going to be pairing up things like pound and Swiss franc against things like Aussie, CAD, and Kiwi. So when we have two longs that we like, Swiss franc and yen, we can put these in a chart and say, hey, which one do we like better? Which one is stronger? And we can chart these. As you can see, the EMA is flat, RSI is flat. So it's telling you they're the same strength right now. So Swiss franc and yen, whichever one you think is going to be better, but in the charts, there's no way to tell which is going to be better. And then we can do the same thing here with Aussie Kiwi. We can see that in the short term here, Aussie is weaker than Kiwi, but we also are getting near a support level. So if we do see this bounce, maybe Kiwi might be the one to short, but we also have the CAD in there. So let's pair up the Kiwi against the CAD. You can see the Kiwi is weakening slightly against the CAD, mostly sideways, but that's telling us that Kiwi is likely the weakest currency at the moment, which means we can do stuff like Kiwi yen. Kiwi yen is going to be the first one I look at. Start off on a daily chart, and we are getting into a support level right here, right at the 87, 80, high 86s. And you can see that is on a long base here. It's way too early to take a short here. I think you've got to wait for this to clearly break, maybe have a retest. I do like Kiwi yen if it breaks down below this 86, 80 area, holds that, has a little rally or base, and then falls. But you can tell, that's like 2 or 3 days away. So Kiwi yen, I don't think is ready yet. Let's take a look at Kiwi Swiss franc. Kiwi Swiss franc right at support as well, but just not quite ready yet to go. But if it does break, remember we have RBNZ. If it breaks, I really like this trade after that report. The other one I want to take a look at is pound. So I'm going to take a look at pound against CAD since it is the weakest. And here we have this really long base here all the way back to the 6th. So we've had like a 3-week base here. If this thing can pop out and break out, if the pound strengthens, I really like this here as well. You know, up in the high 187s, low 188s after that CPI news. I think that's a nice breakout that we could be seeing here in pound CAD. You can see once it breaks out that, it's kind of off to the races. There's nothing holding it up. So really, those are my 2 trades, and it's really based on news that's happening. The RBNZ, but again, I'm not going to trade it before. Way too risky. I'm going to wait for that to happen. And then also the pound. I like the pound trade better. I think there's a little bit more meat on the bone and a little bit better trend off of that, as the pound has already been strong and likely to strengthen more if that number's hot. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Have a great night. Goodbye.